The Tinder Swindler, a web of lies and betrayal. Online dating, a place where romance flourishes, connections are forged, and dreams of love and companionship come alive. But hidden behind the hopeful swipes, not everyone is who they claim to be. This is the chilling tale of the Tinder Swindler, a story of trust betrayed, hearts shattered, and lives left in ruin. Through the lens of deceit and manipulation, we explore how a cunning predator exploited the vulnerabilities of love in an age dominated by technology. This isn't just a story about heartache. It's a cautionary tale, a rallying cry for awareness, and a testament to courage in the face of betrayal. It starts like so many modern love stories on Tinder, a match with an intriguing stranger. But this wasn't your typical online flirtation. The man on the other side of the screen didn't just promise love, he promised a life of luxury, adventure, and safety within a spellbinding romance. He called himself Simon Leviev, posing as the son of a wealthy diamond magnate. His profile radiated charm and opulence, photos on private jets, luxury resorts, five-star dinners. It was the lifestyle of dreams, a tantalizing escape from the ordinary. To his victims, Simon came across as perfect, a charming and attentive suitor who knew exactly how to captivate their hearts. He didn't pressure or rush. He played the long game, weaving an irresistible web of trust with an allegedly glamorous life to back it up. But as enchanting as his persona was, it was all a mirage, a calculated facade designed with precision to conceal dangerous lies. Simon wasn't just a smooth-talking con man. He was methodical, deliberate, and disturbingly skilled at playing with emotions. He built trust like a master artist completing a delicate masterpiece. At first, his gestures were grand: romantic vacations to exotic locations, expensive gifts, and passionate professions of love. He made his victims feel special, as though they were the sole focus of his world. After all, who doesn't want to believe that they're the center of someone's universe? To reinforce this illusion, he shared overwrought stories of danger and heroics. According to him, his wealth and connections placed his life perpetually at risk. Bodyguards, encrypted communications, and cryptic phone calls were enough to convince anyone that Simon's life was as complicated as it was glamorous. He promised unconditional love, loyal companionship, and a future filled with endless possibilities. But beneath the grand promises lay heartless intent, a methodical scam that would devastate them. The swindle always started the same way. Once Simon had won over his victim's trust, the narrative shifted. A crisis emerged suddenly, seemingly urgent, life-threatening, and completely fabricated. Simon claimed an enemy had compromised his safety, cutting him off from access to his vast fortune. He needed help just temporarily to evade this danger. His victims, driven by love and loyalty, willingly stepped in to assist. The lies grew more elaborate. Photos of his alleged bodyguard with injuries, voice messages dripping with urgency, fake documents and receipts used to prove his innocence. Every detail meticulously planned to sustain the illusion. Despite their doubts, the women loaned him money, tens of thousands of dollars wired quickly to help their beloved Simon. He promised to pay them back, to fix everything, but the payments never came. Instead, the requests became frequent, larger, and more demanding, leaving his victims financially crippled. Each loan went to fund his extravagant lifestyle and woo his next target. As the cycle continued, these women were left questioning whether the love they believed in had ever been real. When the truth came crashing down, the destruction was stark and suffocating. Entire life savings were gone in the blink of an eye. Years of financial stability erased. But the financial losses weren't the only wounds. There was heartbreak, humiliation, and a deep sense of betrayal for each woman who had trusted Simon. They questioned their judgment, their self-worth, and their ability to trust again. Some victims hid their experiences, overcome by shame. Others spiraled into depression, unable to reconcile how someone they loved could have manipulated them in such a cruel way. The damage was more than monetary. It was emotional, mental, and devastatingly human. Simon Leviev had left despair in his wake, disappearing into the shadows just as easily as he had burst onto the scene. His victims were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, many feeling as though justice would never be served. But not everyone was willing to remain silent. Among the wreckage of heartbreak, courage began to take root. These women, united by shared pain, came together to expose Simon for the fraud he truly was. They connected through social media and began piecing together his trail of deception, different countries, different victims, but the same lies. For these brave women, sharing their stories publicly wasn't easy. There were risks, humiliation, and renewed heartache in reliving their experiences, but their unwavering determination to spread awareness outweighed the fear. Their decision would mark a turning point, not just in their own narratives, but in raising awareness about the darker corners of online dating. The pursuit of justice proved to be a labyrinth of legal and jurisdictional challenges. Simon's schemes were as complex as they were international, making it difficult to hold him accountable. Nevertheless, investigative journalists stepped up to the plate, collaborating with these survivors to expose the Tinder Swindler to the world. They published detailed accounts, sending shockwaves through the media and bringing the scheme into the public eye. Simon's grip on secrecy began to unravel. Authorities worldwide were forced to acknowledge the elaborate fraud he had orchestrated. Though his capture brought hope, it also underscored the limitations of legal systems struggling to combat transnational scams like his. While Simon ultimately faced some legal repercussions, many of his victims would never fully recover their losses. However, their bravery proved that even con artists operating in the shadows can be brought into the light. As much as this story centers on Simon Leviev, it also sheds light on a broader epidemic plaguing the digital era: romance scams. The red flags were all there, if only they were easier to spot amidst the whirlwind of emotions and Simon's carefully constructed web of lies. Grandiose promises that seemed too good to be true, a sudden shift from romance to financial dependence, elaborate excuses that made questioning him seem cruel. The tactics Simon employed align with a pattern seen in scams worldwide. Fraudsters prey on trust, charm, and vulnerability, often using love as a smokescreen for their predation. This story demonstrates the universal nature of these tactics and how they are skillfully adapted to exploit human connection. The larger takeaway? Protect yourself, question inconsistencies, and never risk your financial well-being for someone you barely know. While this true crime story is one of betrayal and pain, it's also a story of empowerment and resilience. Despite the immense losses, the women who survived Simon's schemes refused to become his victims forever. Through their shared courage, they've sparked conversations that challenge the way we approach trust and relationships online. They remind us that vigilance doesn't mean paranoia, it means being smart, informed, and protective of our own well-being. There's also a greater responsibility for society at large, to educate, to share stories, and to reduce stigma surrounding victimhood. Scams thrive on silence, and breaking that silence is the first step toward disrupting them. As we close this chapter in the story of the Tinder Swindler, let it remain a sobering reminder. In the digital age, predators often wear masks of perfection. But armed with awareness, vigilance, and courage, we can dismantle their lies and protect ourselves and each other. The camera fades to black, leaving a haunting final message for viewers. Trust is a gift and not everyone deserves it. Stay vigilant, stay aware, and remember, your safety and worth should never be gambled on the promises of a stranger.